All right, help me welcome to the PNC Live Studio, Jake. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up?
What's happening? Let me save you some time in the meet and greet line. Did you play basketball?
I did.
We're all thinking it. You did?
Yeah, just in high school.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. So let's start with your name, Jake. Confused a lot of radio people. I've heard it pronounced, I think, 4 different ways. What made you decide to spell it the way you did?
Yeah, good question. I get it a lot. So I originally had done some TikToks under the name Jake Lawson, because that's my name. And some people knew me as Jake. And then I figured, once I released my first song, just to, keep Jake, but make it a little different. So it was JV, so it's like an upside down A. And my first song was called Upside Down. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, because I've heard it pronounced, let's see, JVKE.
Very common.
JVKE, like an acronym.
Yeah.
Whitney, I'm going to call her out here. She thought it was Juke.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
And that's fair because like the old, what is it, Greek or whatever, they use the V for U, so that Whitney gets a pass. Right on. You're from Rhode Island, right?
Yes.
Is that Providence?
Yeah.
Okay, and so if you're going to take us, I've never been to Rhode Island. Anybody else? Anybody here been to Rhode Island? You have? Couple people? Yeah. Most of us haven't, but if you were to bring us to your town, to your home, like on a field trip, where would you show us? Where would we go for dinner? Where would you take us?
I'd probably take you guys to the beaches first, and then I would take you to Newport, which is this cool little town, and Taylor Swift actually owns a mansion there, and so maybe we'd swing by Taylor Swift's mansion, and then we'd get some good, authentic Italian food. That would be our day.
Right on. What's your go-to Italian dish?
You can never go wrong with some spaghetti and meatballs.
Okay, very classic. So you're on tour now. I think this is your first real full tour, right?
Yeah.
And you're on what, day 3 or 4?
Day 3, yeah.
So you've done Vancouver, you've done Seattle, and now tonight Portland.
Yeah, Portland.
Has anywhere that you've been surprised you, coming from Rhode Island? Anywhere oh, this is the coolest? I never would have thought Portland was like this, or Seattle, or
Yeah. No, I mean, on the drive, and even when we landed, since we started in Vancouver, seeing all the mountains and stuff like that, there's really not much of that in the Northeast unless you go up north a bit more. And so, yeah, that was really cool. And honestly, the weather's been great. This is the perfect time of year, honestly. So it's awesome.
So, this whole tour, is there a date on there where you're looking forward to going? Because you said you'd never been to Seattle or Portland before. So is there any tour date or city that you're excited to see? Is
I think so. I don't really know where we're going to be stopping along the way, but I heard that after tonight's show, I think tomorrow, figured out I have an off day, so that'll be good just to rest my voice. This will be the 3rd night in a row, but I think on the way we might be going to, what is it, the Redwood Forest? Is that what it's called? Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get to see that. I heard that they're ginormous trees, which I've never seen in my life, anything like that.
Just so we're clear, you're excited about trees?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just want, hey, listen, no, I'm not judging. I'm just
I'm curious how big I'll look next to the tree, because I am pretty big.
You are pretty big.
But I think it'll be me.
I was looking at TikTok, 11.6 million followers. Does that make you nervous at all, to post? To have all those people looking at you? No pressure.
I don't know. I feel, it's been kind of slowly gained over time. And so just even just with this tour, being able to connect with a lot of my fans, it's made it a lot more real. So I feel like the numbers kind of they don't really connect. And I feel like this tour has helped to realize that I'm connecting with real people, which is always awesome, And so,
yeah, I mean, you got a sold out show tonight at Crystal Ballroom. And when I was going, when I was doing research for this today, I accidentally clicked on Ticketmaster, and it said, or StubHub or one of those, and it said next to every show, it had a little fire emoji, and it said selling fast. And I was like, okay, I see you, boy.
I love that.
So what's the latest thing that you learned from TikTok, or something that TikTok taught you? whether it's like a skill or whether it's a recipe. What's the latest?
So it's tough. I've spent time on and off of TikTok because sometimes, like, especially creatively, like I'll need to just get away and just write music. And then in order to post TikToks, you kind of have to know what's going on the platform. So I was kind of on doing a lot more creative stuff recently, and then in the last couple of weeks I've been on TikTok more. But yeah, I don't know. Most of my TikTok feed is like music, and so like that's mainly what I use TikTok for, is to find new music and stuff like that. So I don't know. Now I have in the past have like the recipe videos that pops up on everybody's, and they're just so easy to watch. But recently it's been mostly music stuff.
You have a song on the Fast 10 soundtrack. How did that come about? Like, where? How?
Yeah, it was.
When?
So someone had sent me the initial chorus, and then eventually we went back and wrote just the part 2 version and stuff. And I remember I was like, this is like the best song that I've ever had someone send to me. Like, that chorus was just so great, and I loved it. And I was like, yes, I'd love to do it. And then after that, I heard that it was on the Fast X soundtrack. I was like, okay, no brainer. Like, we're doing this. And so, I loved the song, and I'll be performing it tonight on the piano. So it's going to be fun.
So you didn't know originally that song was going to be used for the movie? It was just a song that you did?
No, someone had sent it to me, just that chorus. And I was like, because I don't usually do a lot of like pitch songs. So like people will send songs all the time. And usually I'll just do my entire album was just me and my brother. But this song, since it was sent to me, I was like, this is just such a great song. I can't help but sing it. So that's how this one came about.
So when you're listening to that, are you like in your mind and you're like, are you picturing like which keys you should be playing, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when I'm listening to music, especially my own, I guess, but anytime I'm listening to a song, I'm kind of subconsciously imagining what notes it is on the scale. And that helps me to have a frame of reference when I'm like writing songs myself. And I liked how something sounded. Like, I can kind of take it back and know, how they made it, in which it's all numbers actually in my head. Like, some people have perfect pitch. I have like semi-perfect pitch, but I have really strong relative pitch, which means like you can know where everything is in relation to each other. And so that helps me when I'm in the studio to kind of figure out, oh, this felt this way when I heard this. And so if I, take some inspiration that way, I'm constantly just whenever I'm listening to music, like thinking of numbers. It's kind of weird.
And I don't have perfect pitch. Because like watching you listen to a song, like you don't sit still, like you're constantly like doing something. So it's kind of interesting to see like, I want to like what's going through his head right now. And Charlie Puth had no idea he'd be playing in the PNC Live Studio today, but he's actually been here. And what's the most random place you've ever heard your song play? Like, have you been at like a Safeway or a CVS and heard your song on and like, hold on?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't go out a ton. Like, when I'm at home, like I'm just like in the studio or like, going to the gym, and at the gym they play like the most random music. So my music is never on there. But there was one time I was in LA, and it was just when Golden Hour was starting to kind of become a thing. And I got into an Uber, and it was like my first time hearing my song Golden Hour out in public, and it was like, wait, what's going on? Because I'm in an Uber, don't have the aux, so it was really cool.
That's sick. There's two big things happening in music right now, one of which is AI, which we're big about here. Have you used AI at all to write, or have you used it at all, period?
Yeah, so it's funny, like, I feel that AI can really be used as a tool. I think a lot of people are afraid of what it could be and what it could do, but
well said.
Yeah, it's I don't think we're there yet to the place where it's dangerous. I could see, at some point becoming dangerous.
Stay tuned.
I think, one of the ways that I've used AI is like with ChatGPT. Like, you can type in like, write me something about X, Y, and Z, and it's not to the place where I'm actually going to use the exact lyrics they're giving, but like maybe there'll be one word that I'm like, oh wow, that actually really works for what I'm talking about, or stuff like that. And so that's been really helpful. I've only used it a couple times, but it's been really cool whenever I do, and so I'm definitely gonna think of using it more.
Yeah, definitely. And like it now gives you a writing partner. And writer's block is gonna, I feel like, not be a thing of the past because you still got to be creative with it. But now you have somebody to write with, like you said.
Sure.
Even one word could be the difference.
Absolutely.
What about like voice sampling? One of the cool things that you have to your advantage as opposed to artists in the past is we'd always ask them like, hey, who would you want to work with? It's like, oh, I really want to work with Billie Eilish, but she's not returning my emails. Now you can write a song for Billie, use her voice to make the pitch to her and be like, look, it actually will sound good with us together.
Right, yeah. It's crazy. And the other thing, too, is like with artists who don't make music anymore or who, passed away like 50 years ago, we can still hear their voice and stuff like that. And so I think it's just a matter of time before, the fans are like, hey, we want to hear this and that. And then, a lot of these teams, I think people will start to come around to that because I think it's a really cool thing. And it's a tool ultimately that I think we're going to see a lot more use of soon.
And so if you could use somebody's voice, who would it be?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't get the rights to this anytime soon, but I would love to like do a song with like Michael Jackson or something like that. That would be the coolest thing for me, honestly.
That'd be sick. Another thing that's happening in music right now, and it's very big, is sampling. BB Rexa and David Guetta used what is it? I'm Good. Was it Hadaway?
Yeah.
For I'm Good. Have you used sampling at all in your music? Like sampled somebody else's songs?
Yeah, actually the first song that I ever released was a mashup that I did on TikTok, which I guess technically is a sample, and it was of a song that had blown up on TikTok, that Down South, oh baby, and then I jumped in and I did my own like little spin off of it, and I don't sample a ton. I used to when I first started just to produce, like I would pull up like Mozart's Requiem and like chop it up and like do all this cool stuff. But yeah, here and there, I think it's cool to switch it up and sample some other people's music. On the writer side though, like a lot of artists know like you have to give like a large chunk away when you do sample. So there's a give and take there, but I think sometimes it's really, really fun.
Well, and not only that, but like for new artists, it's extremely helpful for people to like, because giving them something that is already a bit familiar to them is a lot easier than saying, "Hey, listen to my brand new song." You know what I mean?
Right.
So it can be extremely helpful. Do you guys have any questions for Jake?
Okay, so your album, This Is What Blank Feels Like, great piece of work, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. It takes you through the whole life cycle of falling in love, then like being angry and then sad and then like being okay again. What was like the decision and creative process behind like deciding to do that with your album?
Yeah, so it's funny, like when I first was like writing songs for the album that I didn't even know I was like creating the album at the time, was like I was just kind of writing my life experiences, and some songs were like, love songs, and some were heartbreak, and I was drawing from different times in my life, and I realized that a lot of it was kind of through the ebbs and flows of my first relationship. And so that whole album for the most part was inspired by that, and just all of the feelings that I had through that breakup and then eventually moving on from that. That was kind of what got me, as I was writing, I was like, this kind of is just like the life cycle of a whole relationship. And so, that's, I guess, how I kind of came up with it.
So I love your songs, first off.
Thank you.
My brother, he just released an album earlier this year, and one of his songs in particular was really inspired by you. And I was wondering if sometime you would give it a listen, maybe give him a follow. I have it written down here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'll listen to it later, for sure. Thanks. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
What's your favorite song that you made?
Favorite song that I've made? Ooh, that's a good question. I think there's some unreleased ones that could go for that title, but I actually said right when I released Golden Hour, nothing had really happened to it. My whole team was like, okay, yeah, let's release it. We don't really know what will happen. I don't know if it's like the single that's gonna like be the one. And I went on record, like one of the first interviews I had, I was like, honestly, I think this is my favorite song I've ever released. And that was before anything happened with Golden Hour. It was just kind of like a moment for me to put my heart and soul into a song. And so, yeah, I guess I could say Golden Hour. It's kind of weird because a lot of artists, like their biggest song, they don't really love it, but I still love Golden Hour. So I guess I would say that.
Any other questions? Wow, I'm really loud on this side of the speaker. I'm so sorry. All right.
One right here, one right here.
What? Oh, gosh, I almost missed you. I'm so sorry.
What was your like final realization that like you might actually be able to make it like in the industry?
I think, it was never my goal to be an artist. Actually, I had started off as a songwriter and producer, just trying to write for other artists. And it actually took me a really long while to embrace being an artist because I had done some things on TikTok with my mom. Some of you may have seen that. And that's how I really started off. But eventually, I started releasing music, and I wasn't really passionate about it. Like early on, there was a few songs like after Upside Down. I liked Upside Down, but then there was like 3-4 songs after that I was like, I'm just kind of putting it out to put it out. But then I think when the moment turned was when I released This Is What Falling in Love Feels Like. That song for me was just kind of a creative piece that I could resonate with, and I felt, proud to release. And so at that moment, once that song kind of became a bit bigger, I realized like, wow, maybe people actually want to hear what I want to release and not what everybody else is telling me to release. And so, I think that was probably the moment where I was like, I think I could actually release music that I love and maybe people will like it. So, yeah.
And so, like, what was the conversation like with your mom when that song was blowing up and, like, becoming an artist was, like, a real, like, attainable thing? Like, hey, Mom, you don't have to go to work anymore, so.
Yeah, no, with my mom, like, we still, have videos with her and whatnot, and we started off doing, like, a ton of videos with my mom, and she's amazing, and, whenever we have an idea that involves her, we always have her on, but, at the time, I was still living at my parents' house, and, it was, like, such a crazy thing, and I think a lot of it happened during quarantine, so we didn't really know what was going on. We just saw these numbers, and it was like, okay, like 20 million, that's kind of like a lot of people, but like I haven't been outside for an entire year, so like what does that even mean? But yeah, it's really cool, and actually my mom's probably coming to a show maybe like three shows down from here. I wish she was here today, but she's just the best mom ever.
And do you still live with Mom or no?
No, I've moved out.
I mean, in this economy,
right, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, no, my mom's the best, literally the best.
And is she back in Rhode Island? She still live there?
Yeah.
And are you in LA now?
No, still living in Rhode Island as well. Yeah,
just down the street. You went from the basement to the street.
Yeah,
right
there you go.
Right on. Well, dude, thank you so much for swinging by and hanging with us. And good luck tonight at Crystal Ballroom.
Thanks
Give it up
so
one
much.
more time for Jake.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.